that you said we're not meant to raise our voice in prayer and get hysterical. God can hear us, but there is an exception in the period between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. And with that period coming, can you tell us quickly what is the difference of the level?
You're good. You're delighting me. What can I say? Thank you for listening. That's all I have to say.
I loved it.
Let me tell you a story. Okay, listen, you asked me a question, so I'm entitled to eat some clock, right? I'm not taking anybody else's time. I'm not in a rush. I know that I'm not the only speaker on this evening event. There's a woman I know who had a very interesting life. And in the late 70s, she was a producer for NBC. She was doing investigative reporting. She had a very, very sophisticated job. She was really a cosmopolitan woman. She was on the big stage. You know, she was a successful person in the biggest arenas. And she pursued religion. She became frum. She's an Orthodox woman today. And she had opportunity to meet the Rebbe in 1981. 1981, the Rebbe did not really meet people privately. She had a backdoor connection, and she was allowed an interview with the Rebbe. And she told the Rebbe directly, I'm not coming here as a chassid, I'm not coming here as an adherent, I'm coming here as a reporter to ask you questions. And the way she told me the story was, I walked into his room, I sat down opposite him, I ground my knees into the back of his desk, and I grilled him. She asked him many questions. And the Rebbe answered the questions. It wasn't the first time the Rebbe was interviewed. And one of the questions she asked the Rebbe, which I thought was delightful, I thought it was such a refreshing question, she said to the Rebbe, when you pray, you make 3 steps back and you make 3 steps forward, right? That's how we do it. You make 3 steps back in the beginning of the prayer, in the beginning and then the prayer. So she said to the Rebbe, when you make the 3 steps back and the 3 steps forward, you don't feel stupid? You don't feel like an idiot? It's such a great question. A man of the Rebbe's intellect. What's he doing? What kind of choreography is this? You're standing in front, you're talking to God. What are you wandering around the room? What's this 3 steps back and 3 steps forward? So I got very excited and I said to her, so what did the Rebbe answer? She said he laughed. He didn't answer the question, he laughed. And that woman today makes 3 steps back and 3 steps forward at least twice a day, and she doesn't feel stupid. Why do we make 3 steps back and 3 steps forward? It's important to understand this. And this is really found in the Shulchan Aruch, in the Code of Jewish Law. We need to orient God for ourselves, spatially and chronologically. God is everywhere, God is everything. God is above time, God is above space. Those are very nice ideas. If I'm going to meet him, I have to put him in a frame in relationship with me. There's 1,000 people in the synagogue. God is opposite each of us. And the choreography, the 3 steps back and the 3 steps forward, is a means, it's a physical ritual that's meant to create a sense of us approaching him, and then at the end of the prayer of us departing from him, in as much as we position him in a frame in our relationship with him. We're meeting him. And we have to do that, because otherwise we have no relationship. We have to create a time-space framework for our involvement with God, not because God has those limitations, but because we do. So if I'm talking to God, and in my mind, I'm actually talking to him, and he's listening, shouldn't I talk to him as I would talk to anybody else? It's reasonable to talk to God reasonably. You wouldn't talk to your friend reasonably. You wouldn't talk to your employer, to your employee, to your parent, to your child, to your sibling, to your spouse. You wouldn't scream and shout and jump up and down and pound your chest. In interpersonal relationships, there's a certain presumption of normalcy. That same normalcy applies to our relationship with God, because otherwise we're deceiving ourselves. It's not genuine. Why am I screaming at him? You know, the old expression, did you try with, by asking him nicely instead of screaming at him? In our relationship with God, it's reasonable to be reasonable, because this is who we are. So the entire design of prayer is built around the mind and the body. You have to prepare your body, you have to prepare, the Talmud talks about all kinds of different aspects of preparation. You have to prepare the place, you have to prepare your body, you prepare your clothing, prepare your mind. And when you interface with God, you do it as if he's another person. Now, obviously, he's not a person, but you give him a spatial orientation so that you and him meet in a way that to you is meaningful. So you would talk to Hashem as you would talk to somebody else. You wouldn't scream. You don't repeat yourself, right? You want something from your boss. You don't say it 10 times. It's a great way not to get it. You wouldn't do the same with God. It's a logical presumption about our meetings with God based not on who he is, but based on who we are.